The invisible water flowing beneath your feet is carrying a silent, catastrophic threat that will literally decimate your real estate investment from the inside out. If you aren't rigorously monitoring the IS 10500-2012 water quality standards, your structural integrity and the health of your entire community are already in grave danger. The water flowing through your pipes right now might just be plotting your downfall, and one wrong drop and your health, your home, and your entire real estate project could face a complete ruin. Okay, let's dive into this hidden crisis. When we think about real estate development, we're usually obsessing over things like foundation strength, aesthetic design, the perfect location, but the absolute most destructive element is often the one we freely pump directly into the very core of the building. The source material we're covering in this explainer outlines how ignoring specific water quality parameters doesn't just result in, say, a bad tasting cup of coffee. No, it leads to massive structural failure and severe biological toxicity.
Section 1. The dual agent, TDS and hard water.
To really understand this threat, we have to look at the unseen double agents lurking right in your groundwater, total dissolved solids, or TDS as you probably know it, and hard water. In real estate, you're basically fighting a two-front war here. On the human side of things, when TDS levels spike, the water causes significant gastrointestinal irritation and completely loses its palatability. It just tastes awful. But on the structural side, those exact same dissolved minerals are ruthlessly driving severe corrosion and scale buildup inside your pipes. And this brilliantly illustrates why you can't ignore either side of the coin. So let's trace exactly how that chain reaction happens. The IS 10500 standard clearly sets the desirable limit for TDS at 500 milligrams per liter. When you start exceeding this limit, and when calcium and magnesium levels rise, your water becomes incredibly hard. And this hardness, it leads to incrustation. We're talking about a severe scale buildup on the inside walls of your pipes and plumbing fixtures. It's like hardening of the arteries, but for your building. Day after day, this scale chokes off the water flow while the altered chemical makeup creates this constant corrosive action. Over time, this leads directly to the irreversible structural failure of your entire water supply system. Think about the nightmare of literally having to rip the pipes out of the concrete walls to fix it. It's a total disaster.
Section 2. The deception. Physical versus chemical.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is understanding why so many projects completely miss this danger. It's because water is incredibly deceptive. We naturally judge safety based on what we can see or smell, right? But look at the stark contrast and impact here. Physical parameters, things like color, odor, or turbidity, they're easily detected by human senses, and they primarily affect whether a consumer accepts the water. But the chemical parameters? They are the true saboteurs. You absolutely cannot detect them by sight or smell. They require specific laboratory testing. If left unchecked, they result in severe toxicity, deadly diseases, and total infrastructure corrosion.
Which brings us to Section 3, toxic thresholds and zero tolerance.
This is arguably the most terrifying section of the IS 10500 standards, the toxic chemical thresholds. To really grasp how serious this is, you need to understand the regulatory concept of no relaxation. Normally, environmental standards have a desirable limit and a slightly higher permissible limit, which offers you a little bit of leeway in a tough spot. But for toxic substances, there is absolutely zero leeway. No relaxation means the permissible limit is identical to the desirable limit. If you exceed it by even a microscopic fraction, the water is officially declared toxic and unusable, period. Even if you have no other water source. Let's look at just how small these zero tolerance limits actually are. Take this tiny number, 0.001 milligrams per liter. That is the absolute maximum allowable limit for mercury. Think about how minuscule that is. But if your groundwater exceeds this microscopic fraction, consuming it leads to vision loss, intellectual deterioration, and catastrophic damage to the kidneys and nervous system. So, the crucial point here is that even slightly higher numbers are just as devastating. 0.01 milligrams per liter is the strict no relaxation limit for both lead and selenium. And lead is exceptionally dangerous, particularly for children who are developing and growing up in your housing communities. It causes irreversible kidney dysfunction, hearing loss, and blood disorders. And hitting this exact same tiny threshold for selenium immediately classifies the water as completely toxic. And then, at 0.05 milligrams per liter, we hit the absolute ceiling for cyanide. Going over this amount triggers severe nervous system damage and major thyroid problems. If a water source hits this limit, pollution control boards require the immediate and complete shutdown of that water supply. There's no negotiating it. Moving right along to Section 4, the ultimate shield, NABL compliance. So you absolutely cannot rely on guesswork here. The only surefire way to shield your real estate project from structural ruin and liability is through strict, uncompromising adherence to testing protocols. Here is your definitive 4-step checklist for legal and health compliance. Step 1, extract the raw groundwater right from the actual project site. Step 2, you must submit these samples to an NABL-accredited lab. A basic over-the-counter testing kit just won't cut it. Step 3, systematically verify every single physical and chemical parameter against the latest 2012 amendment of the IS 10500 code. And step 4, if the water fails, you have to either implement advanced treatment methodologies like reverse osmosis or ion exchange, or you have to completely reject the source. When that NABL lab report comes back, here is exactly what you're screening for to prevent a total disaster. You've got to verify the pH value is strictly between 6.5 and 8.5, because actually anything outside this range rapidly accelerates pipe corrosion. You must test total hardness to stop that structural scale buildup we talked about earlier. You must confirm nitrate levels are safely below 45 milligrams per liter. Exceeding this causes methemoglobinemia, also known as blue baby syndrome, which is literally fatal for infants. You have to screen for all those zero-tolerance heavy metals we just looked at, like lead and mercury, and finally check the bacteriological quality to ensure zero presence of E. coli or coliforms. Guys, using this specific checklist with a certified NABL lab is the absolute only way to guarantee both structural longevity and the safety of the community. So, what does this all mean for us? It all comes down to this single critical question. Will you let unmonitored water destroy your real estate investment and community health? As a project stakeholder, your ultimate responsibility isn't just laying the bricks and pouring the concrete. It is ensuring that the very lifeblood of the building, the water, is safe. Comprehensive, rigorous testing is your only real defense. I want you to remember this fundamental rule. When it comes to toxins, the permissible limit is the absolute ceiling. There is no wiggle room. I really hope this explainer has completely shifted how you view water compliance in real estate development. Armed with the ISO 10500 standards, you now have the exact blueprint to protect your projects and your residents. If you found this breakdown valuable, please like, share, and subscribe to the ISO Automation Labs channel. Keep learning, keep building safely, and I'll see you in the next one.